Hello and welcome to Rose Ed. After a week that's seen more matches cancelled than the last time I logged onto a dating app, there's still been some time for some thrilling football. That's another joke that's gone well. Some thrilling football as Conte makes Klopp crabby, plucky underdog City march relentlessly on, and the League Cup serves up a pre-Christmas feast, the likes of which haven't been seen since Christmas Day 2009, when I ate a kilo of pistachios before dinner and spent the next hour dropping some presents down the chimney of my own, if you know what I mean. So good, I told it twice.
Wow, the level of banter this morning's unbelievable, Joe. How long did it take you to write the intro?
Oh.
I'm only joking, it's really good.
Right, I am here with Mike and Hannah. You're right, Hannah?
I am, thank you. Yes, I'm recovered now from Rosedmas.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? Did we have a nice time?
Good.
I had a nice time.
We did. But obviously, Mike left us early to go to the Arsenal game. Do you remember Mike, we said at one point, you texted and said, are you guys still out? And we were like, yeah, we're at a strip club. Yeah. And you were like, yeah. And I thought, can you imagine if we gave you the address of like a random awful strip club in London? You were like, I'll come and meet you after. Can you imagine if we did that to you and we weren't even there?
Well, I knew he would believe that because the reality is the Rose Ed Christmas party ended at 8:30 at night.
It did.
So,
yeah, it did go on for a long time, to be fair.
It started in the studio at 11 a.m.
Yeah. It was good. I enjoyed it.
It was lovely, wasn't it? Have you been wearing your T-shirt, Mike?
I haven't, because that would be slightly weird if I wore a picture with Hannah's face on it at home. But my mum did see it and got an almighty shock. She was like, "Is that Hannah from the podcast? She looks different there." Because I'll be honest, Joe, you've not really painted her in the best light, Hannah, with that photo. So Helen was a bit shocked.
Hannah, what did Andy East think when you got home with a T-shirt with a picture of Mike on?
Well, Andy doesn't really ask me about anything, like any of this kind of stuff, because he's never surprised. So he came home from work yesterday and I had a wig on and he was like, what are you doing? And I was actually recording an impression of Nicola Sturgeon, but I actually looked like Gail Platt. And he was just like, what are you doing? He's like, are we going to go and get the kids? And I was like, yeah, just 2 seconds. And then obviously I just peel a wig off and a hair that like shows my hair up. And he's just never surprised. So a picture of Mike's face on my chest, he's not fazed by this at all.
It's funny though, isn't it? Because I posted a picture yesterday because Hannah and I are doing a Football Manager themed sketch. And I posted a picture of myself dressed as Jurgen Klopp. And everybody came back and said, Deirdre Barlow. So, why don't we do Deirdre Barlow and Gail Platt's Christmas?
Let's do it.
I should also remind people, you can hear this show if you're listening on podcast radio or if you're listening on the podcast. Please, whatever platform you use, it'd be really good if you could rate us. 5 stars is the easiest, probably.
Obviously.
Just go straight to 5. Rate us and leave a review. Apparently, that really helps with the algorithm. So that's that done.
That's where some IT media person has said to you about the algorithm, because we have no clue.
It's just one of those words. People say it helps with the algorithm. So I go, yeah, of course, yeah. I don't know what an algorithm is. Mike, Carabao Cup was good last night, wasn't it?
Yeah, good.
Carabao Cup was good on Wednesday night, wasn't it? Future
good in a sense, because there was some tasty action, but Spurs went through, so I can't be that happy about it. But Arsenal got a decent draw. They're playing Liverpool. Spurs are going to play Chelsea, so semi-finals are looking good. But Spurs, what happened with Spurs, Joe? Because it was quite a topsy-turvy game, full of drama.
Well, it wasn't actually that topsy-turvy, because the first half was like brilliant if you're a neutral, which obviously I'm not. I was saying this to Hannah off air earlier. Tottenham just looked so well organised, and it kind of shows you what a good manager can do immediately. Sky used a stat on screen pretty early that said basically under Nuno, Spurs running stats were the worst in the Premier League. Under Conte, they've been the best. So that's as big a shift as you can get. And
is that the manager or the players though?
That's the manager. Honestly, you watch the pressing, obviously, which Conte's really famous for. The pressing has been very, very obvious. You kind of then both Liverpool and West Ham, so Liverpool at the weekend and West Ham on Wednesday, weren't allowed to settle on the ball. Also, that organisation, that 5-3-2, everybody clearly knew their role and their position. We're closing down at certain times. When it transitions into an attack, that then becomes a back three. The wing backs overlap, and then one of the midfielders turns it into a front three. So it turns into a 3-5. No, hang on, that's not right, Matt. It turns into a 3-4-3 from a 5-3-2. But I'm obviously not a football manager, but I can see that on the pitch. Like I'm watching, do you remember the old aerial view on Football Manager?
Yeah.
It's so clear. And it just shows you what a good manager with good organisation, who's got a clear tactical plan and who the players respect enough to listen to, can do. Football's ultimately a pretty simple game. Also, me and my mate were slagging off Steven Bergwijn for the first 15 minutes of the game. Then he basically created 2 goals pretty much out of nothing. Yeah, it's really, really, really impressed again. And I'm telling you, Mike, I'm so Conte, it hurts. Like, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, do you know one thing? I do like Antonio Conte. Well, obviously I don't like him now because he's Spurs manager, but in general I do like him. But something he was saying the other day was that Eric Dyer can be like one of the best defenders in the world, and I was like, mate, like, all right, that's a bit too far. Do you know what? And also unfortunately, I have another Spurs mate who said to me, Eric Dyer is the best English defender on current form. And it's just like, all right, yeah, he might have had a decent season. I'll admit I've not watched loads of him, but this is Eric Dyer we're talking about. So I'd like everyone just to hold their horses and calm down a little bit, because, he will ultimately put in a few stinkers.
That's a lot of love for him, isn't it?
But that is true. He is the best English defender. I thought you could say best English defender, which he's not, but he's the best on form. Yeah, he was great under Nuno. He's been fantastic under Conte, and he's vocal. He does the simple things well now. Honestly, Eric Dyer,
Great vegetable patch.
He's got, not only does he have wholesome outside of football hobbies, but I guarantee he will start for England at the next World Cup.
He definitely will not start for England next World Cup.
Hannah, he's going to take Harry Maguire's place in the team.
How can you have such contrasting views on a player?
I've never slagged him off, to be fair. I've always had a real soft spot for him. I slag everyone else off, then change my mind. But I've got real, it's like with your kids. It's like kind of like, your kid could be like, oh yeah, I pushed an old lady down the stairs because she was annoying me. And
it's like, why was she in the way? Why was she stood at the top step?
Exactly, yeah. I feel like that about Eric Dyer. No matter what he does, it's like, oh, he ran off the pitch for a poo. It's like, yeah, but when you got to go, you got to go. It's like, oh, he fought that fan. It's like, yeah, well, he shouldn't have said things about his brother.
What was the fan saying?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like if my little boy comes home from school and he said once, he was like, oh, this little Johnny pushed me. And I was like, why did he push you? Yeah, little Johnny pushed me downstairs.
Mars in the playground, a little Johnny pushes me, so I gave him a smack in the chuff.
I was like, you tell me who his mother is and I'll go and take a face off.
Oh, little Johnny. Sorry.
But the first question I always ask is, why did they do that? Were you doing anything you shouldn't have done? And then if my little boy says no, I'll be like, right, why did he do that? I've actually phoned the school on one occasion before because a little boy pushed my little boy and he shouldn't have done. And I phoned the teacher and I had to really calmly say it to her that she needs to have a word with a 6-year-old. And then I was like, oh my God. And then I should just say to my little boy, just punch him and then he won't do it again.
Well, no,
you can't do that, can you? That's not how you parent.
That's not good advice.
That's what my parents used to say to me. They did what? They push you. Push them back twice as hard.
But also, this is your children we're talking about, Hannah. So it's really it's like, he pushed me. Why? It's like, I was only trying to show him my willy. My default setting is that they were doing something weird.
Yeah. Probably the case.
So Mike, what's made you go, this week?
It is, I can definitely confirm from last week to the listeners that it's much better over the internet rather than having to face that thing.
Mike, we both just went like this.
Yeah, I know, but at least I can either look away from the screen or I can take my headphones off, turn the volume down or something. But in person, there's no doing that, is there?
Yeah. Can't turn the volume down on this.
Joe, this isn't like a feature that we're going to do every week, is it?
It is.
Because I thought the first week you did it was like, oh, that's so gross. But we've actually done it for 4 weeks now. And I'm just kind of realising you're going to do this every single week of the podcast.
Hannah, I write the running order, so I put the weird stuff in it.
apart from when I'd had 6 glasses of Prosecco last week and I turned into the director, producer, I'll do everything.
She did.
I did, didn't I? Also
as well, that poor radio station has got a random podcast booth with that sound in it now forever.
Oh my God, forever.
So in case anyone wants to enjoy that. they can do
Oh
so.
my God.
Joe's livid.
Someone like Professor Brian Cox is going to go in and go like, this week on the Science Podcast, and press the wrong button. It's going to
Let's do a jingle. Oh, not that one.
but what made you go,
Yeah, unsurprisingly,
this
it's Eddie Nketiah's hat-trick goal against Sunderland, because have you seen it?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, it was just from start to finish. Odegaard picks up the ball in the middle of the pitch, ridiculous through ball. Yeah, all right, we have to caveat that saying it was against Sunderland, but it was a great goal. Nicolas Pepe, who's been rubbish, but he was great against Sunderland. You tend to look good when you're playing against that level of opposition. But anyway, he nutmegged the player, put it into Eddie, and Eddie backheeled it almost into the back of the net, and it was a great hat-trick goal. And that did make me happy, yeah.
What go on with Eddie Nketiah? Because he's like, do you know what I mean? Because he's been around for ages, isn't he? And everyone knows how good he is, but he's not really. And this is proof of anything. I had him in my Spurs team 2 versions of Football Manager ago, and he was banging the goals in, so he must be good.
What's happened? He just can't get in the team, essentially, because there's been 2 or 3 strikers ahead of him at every turn. He obviously went on loan to Leeds. I think he came back last year in January. He got recalled on the proviso that he was going to play a bit more, but he's just not been able to get into the team. And he's a great poacher, but basically take him outside of the box, and no offense, but he's not great. So I think it was some ridiculous stat. I'll have to look it up, but it is something like the average distance of his goals, from the actual goal, is about 6 yards, 5 yards, something like that. So he literally does get his goal right in front of it, but he can't do much outside. So he does need to develop that. He's part of the game.
It's basically what Raul and Filippo Inzaghi spent 15 years doing.
Yeah, but they had other attributes, didn't they?
Yeah,
as well.
They were better than him. I can definitely say that.
Yeah.
Hannah, what's made you go, this week?
Never made that noise. So I read an article that Brendan Rodgers is going to come to Man United.
Oh God, here we go.
Not this again.
Yeah,
no, listen.
This again.
A fresh article. I read it this week.
I know why you
From
know
where?
this.
Speculation.
Because you two, right, were banging it. You two are always at the dentist.
Hold on. What did you say? Us two were.
You two were banging.
You two.
Because you two have been.
You two were back.
You two have been banging on about going to the dentist. You two are always at the dentist. You're sponsored by the dentist or something. And he had his teeth done, doesn't he? So is that how you know Brendan? You read it in New Smile Weekly.
I can't tell you my source.
But you said it was an article.
Yeah, well, I just read an article. I think it was a Daily Mail, to be honest. There's a fresh article this week.
It's not your source, Anna. Did you own DMGT?
This is true. So that made me go,
Does it? Would you like him though? Because I quite like Ralph Rangnick.
No, because I want Steve Bruce at United. Jokes. But yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. And now I feel it's a competition, because if he does come to United, you two are going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe how much we slated you and said, oh, what are you on about? And you're terrible, pretend Yorkshire accent.
So you just want him to be managers just so you can stick it to us, basically.
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
Yeah, because life is all about petty victories.
It actually is, to be fair. Yeah,
that's what my life's about. Go on, bring him to United. We'll see. What about you, Joe? I feel like we have to ask you what made you go.
Thank you, Hannah. Thanks for asking. Nobody ever asks me.
We never do.
It was probably João Cancelo's goal against.
Who's that?
João Cancelo. What do you say, João Cancelo or João Cancelo?
How? Eddie João Cancelo, yeah.
How do you say it? João Cancelo?
Eddie
How do you say it?
I don't know, but I don't think it's that. But going on.
João Cancelo.
I thought it was João Cancelo.
What did I say? How?
João Cancelo, isn't it?
João Cancelo. João Cancelo. Okay, now I'm thinking, Mike, I'm sweating. João Cancelo.
Just call him Cancelo.
No, but it's João, isn't it? Because it's Portuguese. João Cancelo.
You do 10 versions of his name.
João is Portuguese. But his goal, I thought, against Leeds was lovely. Leeds are absolutely cooked, aren't they, Mike? They're appalling.
Leeds, we absolutely tore them apart. I think Arsenal have struggled to score goals, and what's the remedy if you want to score goals? Play Leeds, because I think we recorded the most shots on target. I think it was 11 or 10 attempts on target in the first half. they were just abysmal. To be fair, they did have about like 11 players out injured, and I think there was like a 15-year-old on the bench or something. But yeah, it was bad. They've had rotten luck with injuries this season. I think they had about 10 first-team players out or something. It wasn't even COVID at that stage, which is why the game. Because if they had that many players out, obviously the game would have been cancelled. But it was the only game on Saturday last weekend that went ahead. But yeah, other than that, I mean, you'd think if you got all these players out, you'd think like Bielsa would like change the tactics or, you know, go for a bit more defensive approach. But he just went for his like gung-ho approach, and it was quite embarrassing from them, to be honest, I have to say.
Because I heard the argument this week that, like, because obviously a lot of people defend Bielsa, and I think it's fun. That type of football is fun. But a lot of people said, oh, he's not lacking a plan B. It's just he still thinks his plan A will win games. But that's patently not true when, firstly, he's done a brilliant job because they still do largely have a championship squad. It's not a very good team. And if you're coming up against teams like City, against teams like Arsenal, whoever it might be, then you need to be a little bit more cautious, because obviously you're not going to be able to blow teams away. But I kind of wonder, because there's a lot of chat obviously about replacing him. Could be Steve Bruce, Hannah. He could be back. But I just kind of wonder, is there any sense in that? Because overall, you're not going to get a better manager than Marcelo Bielsa. And should you stay up, then what position are you in? Because you've then got a less accomplished manager for the start of next season. I don't know. I mean, Hannah, I know you're big on keeping managers. Do you think it's time to pull the trigger? Time to kick the bucket away?
I say that, but you know, look at Spurs. Look what Conte's done and the stats that you've already mentioned already. But he's a top manager, and that's to be expected. But yeah, I do think sometimes clubs pull the trigger too early. But I mean, if you owned a club yourself, it's like a business arrangement, isn't it? And people get frustrated because it's treated like a business, and, you know, there's loyalty behind and passion behind managers and the club. But realistically, when you're at the top of the hierarchy, if it's not working out, you can see it's not working out, the respect isn't there, you get a new manager. It's easy, like playing champ man, isn't it? It's the same principle. So you just get them out, get a new one in. But I do think sometimes from our perspective of people that enjoy watching football, you kind of build relationships with the managers, you build relationships with the team, and you kind of get a bit disappointed when they leave. But ultimately, you know, it's the right decision generally 9 times out of 10.
Well, potentially financially for the club, yeah, it might be absolutely necessary to keep them in the Premier League.
Payouts that the managers keep getting. Jeez Louise. I mean, you go to a club, sign the contract, and you think, oh yeah, you want to get rid of me? Oh, I'm disappointed. Yeah, but I'll have, 7.5 million, 8 million.
Jose Mourinho's a master of that now, isn't he?
Yeah, absolute fortune.
Well, I said that before. If I like had received a payout from every TV show and radio show and podcast and online video project I've been fired from, I'd be doing this live from the Bahamas. But sadly not. I'm in my sad little flat in South London. João Cancelo, that sounds better. João Cancelo. Yeah, João Cancelo, who's been directly involved in 10 goals for Manchester City in all competitions this season. The first time a defender has reached double figures in a single season for Pep since David Alaba for that amazing Bayern team in 2013-2014. So he's absolutely... Was
that his 100th game for City?
And it's the era of the right back, isn't it? Like, there's so many. You could have such a good World 11 made up of just right backs. But let's talk about the game of the weekend. Spurs 2, Liverpool 2, absolutely cracking game. Mike's obviously going to disagree because he's biased. But while Liverpool had more chances, Spurs had much better chances. Tottenham's XG was much higher for that game.
So many chances. Spurs,
we should have won that game. But firstly, Hannah, what did you make of Jurgen Klopp having to go at Paul Tierney? Out of all of it?
Do you know one from what I read? One of the statements he'd made about that if he'd have actually played, or if he actually was a footballer or had have played football in the past, he would have known better. I disagree sometimes with people in sport, and I'm kind of sticking up for people like us because it's like, I wasn't a footballer. I like football. It doesn't mean you can't talk about it. So if a referee wasn't a professional footballer before, it doesn't mean he can't be a good referee or can't be, progress on to be a manager. But I thought sometimes, I love Jurgen Klopp. I really do. And I really wanted him to manage United a few years back. I was like, he'd be perfect. He's amazing. I love what he's done at Liverpool. I love his passion. I love his interviews. I think he's brilliant. But sometimes I've started to notice, and it's only recently, where he kind of tends to wind up other professionals around him.
Did he to Arteta, didn't he?
And yeah, and Sean, like him and Sean Dyche have that thing going on, don't they? But he can be quite very assertive. But I just think that I didn't really I felt uncomfortable watching that scenario.
He's a bit for stuff like that, and I think he is likable and he is funny and he's a bit nuts. So he's kind of, but I don't know.
Amazing teeth.
Unbelievable. Oh, he's another one at Teeth Club. But you know, you two, him, Brendan.
Dentist, beep, 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 beep.
Oh, hi, Hannah. It's so nice to see you again. Ding, 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 ding. But I kind of think like that's so conceited as well to be like, oh, if you're a footballer, you would know. No top flight referees are footballers. It's not rugby. That's not how it works. That's conceited to say that.
Yeah, so patronising and the problem is because of the platform that Jurgen Klopp has got, it's embarrassing for the ref. For the fact that Klopp said that. And I think that's really disrespectful and I don't think he should have said it.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Both Paul Tierney and the VAR had a stinker. Harry Kane should have been sent off. I've got no doubt in my mind about that. I really do think there's a massive element of you get a pass if you're the England captain. I don't mean you should, but I think there's an element of everyone's like, oh, it's Harry Kane. He's nice. He's clean cut. He's quite gentlemanly. He's the England captain. He wouldn't put a bad tackle in. His was worse than Andy Robertson's. He should have been sent off. That's a straight red card. Robertson's was kind of, I felt, an orange. It was stupid, but it wasn't that dangerous. It was just like, what are you doing? I mean, I don't know, Mike, what did you make of it? That was 2 red cards, wasn't it?
Yeah, straight red for me for Kane. I mean, if that's someone like Granit Xhaka, like he's getting a 10-game ban. Like let's be honest. Like
there is an element of reputation that comes into it.
Yeah, of course there is. When ultimately, like referees have a like a few seconds to make decisions, and ultimately, if you have that bias in your subconscious of thinking, all right, this player is a media darling, Harry Kane, England captain, or this player Xhaka has been sent off like 100 times in his career, you will automatically think that. Then it's down to the VAR to double check that, but basically VAR sometimes doesn't want to go against the ref, so it's ultimately it renders it useless. But Jurgen Klopp, I mean, how has he avoided an FA ban? I mean, literally, full-time whistle goes and this guy is steaming over to the referee saying to him, oh, I like other referees, but I've got a problem with you. But I mean, you just can't do that. You can't do that like in the modern game. And like obviously his post-match comments as well, it wasn't just that. Like what Hannah was alluding to as well. It's just like, how does he get away with it? And I know he's got this bit of a charm, but like he's got previous, like he's been like in like bust ups with like live interviews with Des Kelly for BT Sport. I remember once was like a heated interview that went on for like 5-6 minutes where, you know, he was having a go at him and like basically like accusing him of like being unprofessional, and it's just wrong. And ultimately, by the FA not punishing him, it makes him think that it's all right to keep doing this sort of stuff, and it's not. So I'm quite disappointed.
Keep doing it. The problem with the VAR is just it's a lack of consistency that is frustrating managers, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest as well, I think the problem with clock.
It's 4 o'clock, please.
I am Jurgen. Knows that Jurgen Klopp. That's our new. We can work on that character in the new year, Hannah.
Okay.
Sorry.
We'll never work on that character in the new year.
Jurgen Klopp and Andros Townsend. Do you remember that?
Hey.
Hi.
It's the way you ask a question, Joe. You'll be like, "Hey, Mike." You still do it. It's there. I can hear it.
Do I?
Townsend. Yeah.
I spent a lot of time alone in like the last 5 or 6 days. I'm dangerously bored, so I think I've sort of lost all perspective.
Yeah, but you're happy because the Spurs are doing well, so that'll keep you motivated. And happy.
Thanks, Hannah. Yeah, just reminding me that I feel better.
Are you isolating, Joe, or you just have no friends?
Well, all my friends have like disappeared, haven't they? Because they don't like me anymore. No, because nobody's doing anything at the moment, are they? Because it's kind of like the country sort of put itself into a self-enforced lockdown. Yeah. And I get it, that's fine. And nobody wants to have to isolate over Christmas and not be able to see their mums and stuff. But I live on my own. So there's like I don't even have a housemate, so I am slightly losing.
But you have a concierge and a cleaner and an ironer.
No, Agatha hasn't been around to do the cleaning.
Look how disgusted you are. Why is she not? Is she
Agatha.
isolated? She's got, do you know what? She hasn't been around. She's had COVID. She's so selfish,
Well,
Agatha. This week's been really boring, you said.
Yes, all right. I'm bored and I'm lonely, and the only good thing in my life is Antonio Conte.
Yeah.
Right. And this podcast.
Of course.
Since 2017 to 18, sorry, 2 years, since the season of 2017-18, when Andy Robertson joined Trent Alexander-Arnold at Liverpool, both fullbacks have recorded 40 Premier League assists apiece. A tally only bettered over this period by Mohamed Salah and Kevin De Bruyne. How good are they, Mike?
Well, I heard Gary Neville saying that he thinks they could be the Premier League's greatest fullback duo. But then again, I think you sort of get away with it because fullbacks don't really come in duos, do they? It's like you probably have one good one and the other one's decent. But he was comparing it to like sort of Cafu and Roberto Carlos, who like dominated that era. He wasn't comparing them, but just saying, you know, a sort of duo, two amazing fullbacks. And I don't know,
Ashley Cole.
Yeah, but well.
Well, I threw you a little bone there. I thought you were going to just batted it away.
Do you not like him?
No. I mean, there were different levels, weren't they? I mean, I think it's different because, like, fullbacks, as you say, like they're not Gary Neville's anymore. Like, they are like superstars in their own right. And I think like everyone was expecting Trent to like go on and play in midfield, but the guy has invented like a position of his own where he's become like Beckham at fullback, where he's become, you know, Andrea Pirlo at fullback, and it's just like, why would you want to move him when he's so effective? But yeah, they're absolutely great to watch. One
of the regular features on this show is we like to welcome Sean Dyche, the Burnley Bard, on for a poem. Well, actually,
am I supposed to do a poem today?
Don't ruin my build up.
Oh, sorry.
The panic on her face.
Sorry.
No, Sean's not meant to be doing a poem today.
Okay.
But a listener has been in touch.
Right.
With a poem of their own.
Oh, Christ. Okay.
And it's about you.
Are you joking? Have you written something?
No, it's not. I promise. I absolutely promise it's not me. This is a message.
What's the name of the listener, Joe?
Is this actually true?
And is it your mum?
No, it's a listener. No, it's definitely
not. Is it Helen?
It's a listener called Rob. So I put quite a lot of stuff out on Instagram this week.
I used to go out with somebody called Rob.
Asking for...
What's his surname?
I don't know. This is from
Sorry.
Instagram. You two just trampling all over this. Oh, God.
Go on then, read it out.
So,
if it's an ex, I'm not interested.
So I don't think so. I think it's just a fan.
Oh.
So, well, wait till you hear it. Listener, he sent me several poems. So I'm just going to read out a couple, right?
I'm nervous.
So am I. Rob says, sorry, I was looking at the first line. It's so right.
Oh,
right. So sorry, Rob. Gosh, you're a doozy. You're a riddle wrapped in a mystery inside an enigma. If I may borrow the Allies' views on Russia, what I'm trying to say is you're a welcome confusion who has blonde hair. Little Second World War reference. If we went to Old Trafford together, we would hold hands in the stands. We would then read the match day programme. Our surroundings getting even busier. Into the stands we cram. The next thing I would do is get rid of your husband because he... The next thing I would do is get rid of your husband because he's an obstacle on our soon colliding paths. I don't mean that I'm a mafioso. I just mean that you and I are a go-go. So brush aside your man of 10 years. You need someone that's attentive. Any ideas? Wow. Oh, wait. He's right here. And guess what? He's all ears. There's more.
This can't be real.
This is real. I promise you this is real. I'll leave you with one final stanza. This is real. This is deep. This ain't banter. I'm a lily white and you're a red devil. Be my Carragher and I'll be your Neville.
Oh my God, it's the best poem I've ever heard. Like
Hannah, this is
someone's taken me to
up.
Old Trafford. That's all I can hear. That's
This is
good.
a stitch up. He knows too much information. Like he knows that Hannah's been
What a
married for
babe.
10 years.
He listens to the show.
Nah.
Well, I like Rob.
Sorry, Rob.
So just tell me where to meet you, and I'll be there.
I
If
mean,
he gets me a Bovril and a burger at Old Trafford, I'm anyone's.
it's extraordinary. He sent me another one, but it doesn't rhyme. It's sort of just psychobabble.
Well, I don't think that one rhymed really either.
It didn't.
It's pretty odd.
Yeah, I mean,
But
no
thank
one's
you.
ever
Thank you for the
written
contribution.
a poem for me, apart from when I was at school, and there was a lad that was the captain of the football team, and everyone fancied him, and then he asked me out for some reason. So he read me a poem. He was like, "I want to read you a poem. Roses are red, violets are blue. I love you." And I was like, "Oh, is that not the poem that you read to Harriet last week?" And he was like, "Oh, did she tell you?" I was like, "Yeah, she did, yeah." So we broke up. That's the only poem anyone's ever written.
well, now you've had another one. You've not. I mean, it's sort of explaining why Sean Dyche's Poetry Corner is often a bit hit and miss in terms of the lyrical
impression.
quality. Just because of the if that's the sort of poetry you've grown up with, you never had a chance.
Yeah.
That's harsh, Joe.
Even though I got
very
an A for English literature and English language at GCSE as well.
Really holding on to that. It's
Really,
20
yeah.
years ago.
Yeah, and a B at A level.
30 years ago.
Yeah.
But Mike.
So cheeky.
Sorry.
So
That was really
cheeky.
mean.
It was mean. I'm 36.
But you know when
Right.
people say that, like when you talk in the pub and they're just like, A-star GCSE biology, not a big deal. It's like, you're divorced, mate. You've got other things in your life. Like,
You're unemployed and you're divorced. What's going on?
oh, God.
Well, thanks,
Oh,
Rob.
wow.
Rob, I appreciate that. I was worried it was my ex-boyfriend, Rob, but it's not.
You'd rather
it's
it was
really
now.
There
not.
was death threats in there. There was insults in
Yeah.
there. There was a lot. There was love
Yeah,
in
but
there.
don't kill my
Wow, we got it all.
But I'm thinking just from a purely podcast point of view, it's nice that people are contributing.
Yeah, as if he's had the
Yeah,
time
it
to
is,
do that. Love that.
Yeah. But sadly,
day.
like, obviously, we do like contributions, and thanks, Rob, but we are looking, generally speaking, for better. But they're just, like, good.
Oh,
Well,
don't be mean.
No, I
He's
think
maybe on
we'll-
his own
we'll-
as
we'll
well.
encourage it.
no, Rob, right? You do
Yeah,
give us a
on his own
5-star
as well.
review, because we're giving your poem a 5-star review. Right, it's time for a Christmassy feature.
Okay.
Ooh.
So what I want to know is, what do you want for Christmas for your football team? So, Mike, what do you want for Christmas for Arsenal?
Can it be transfer related, or is that jumping the gun?
Can be, no, it can be, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Some people get their presents in the sales, so yeah.
I would like a new striker, please, because Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang could well be off sometime soon, judging by this whole shenanigans with the captaincy. God knows what's going to happen. And we're left with Lacazette, whose contract's is out in the summer. Eddie Nketiah's contract's out in the summer. Balogun is probably going to go out on loan. So effectively,
Who?
by the end of the season, we could be left with 0 strikers.
Who was the other one?
Balogun, he's like a youngster. He came on the other day. Well, he started the other day actually against Sunderland.
I thought you meant he came on the show. I was like, James,
I wish.
Balogun, who's he?
Folarin Balogun, he's like one of the. He actually started the first 2 games of the season when Aubameyang and Lacazette were out with COVID. And he's not done too well, but he's very young and inexperienced, so he needs a loan. But yeah, I would like a striker, please. Santa.
What about man like Martinelli?
Man like Martinelli is more like a man like a winger.
He's
Not a
quality
man
though.
like a
He's
centre
been playing really
forward.
well.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. He's been great, absolutely great. He's really improved. Actually, he's a lot of people were up in arms when Arteta wasn't playing him, but at the moment, it looks like the patience has paid off because he looks to have matured a little bit as well. He's only 20, but he was a bit erratic before, but he looks like a proper player. But yeah, I would like a striker if you can make it happen. Probably about 60, 70 million will get the job done to get the guy that I want, which is Alexander Isak of Real Sociedad.
Yeah, Swedish guy.
Swedish guy. He played for Sweden at Euro 2020. He can use both feet. He's a good finisher, good dribbler. I think he's got the all-round package. So him, please.
I don't know why it's become my job to kind of be Mikel Arteta's press officer. I've got a stat for you here, Mike, because I really want you to like him. Since the closure of the summer transfer window, only Man City and Liverpool have won more Premier League points than Arsenal.
Since the closure of the transfer window this season.
Yes. Bit of a random time, I know.
Really?
It just kind of feeds into make the stat work because it's
Well, how
not
does-
since the start of the season.
Oh, right. Okay, fine. Right. No, you think that I hate Arteta. I don't. I just think that there's limitations. I just don't think he's going to be like the guy to lead us back to the top. I think maybe
And if you've got that niggle, Mike, it's never going to go away with the manager, is it?
Yeah, like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happens. I just know that Arsenal will be inconsistent under him. So I am obviously enjoying when we win, but you always know that there's like a heavy defeat around the corner against like a top side. So yeah,
It's the first time you've been in the top 4 at Christmas for a few years, though.
Yeah, but to be fair, like United have got like 2 games in hand. I think if United win their games in hand, they'll go into 4th. So it's a bit iffy.
Hannah, what do you want to? What do you want Santa to get for Man United for Christmas?
Immunity from COVID.
I think say immunity from prosecution after some of the things that have been said.
What story is she going to come out with now? No, we've mentioned a few times about players that are missing, we mentioned about Leeds and stuff, but COVID's going to become an issue, this new variant, for the rest of the season. And I just think it seems really unfair that it's okay for some teams to have 3 or 4 of their key players out with COVID and the matches are going to continue. But I don't know what your thoughts are on it with a COVID sitch.
You've raised a very good point, actually, because...
Thanks, Joe. Did you just give me a compliment?
And Hannah, that's not like you. So well done.
Thanks, Joe. It doesn't happen often, but when it does...
but as of the official stats that came out in October, the Premier League has 68% of players double jabbed. Ligue 1 has 95%, Bundesliga has 94%, 93% in La Liga, and 98% in Serie A. And guess the only league in the top 5 leagues in Europe which is having matches postponed, it is the Premier League. But sadly, that reflects something wider in society because only about 60% of 25 to 29-year-olds have been double jabbed and 63% of 30 to 34-year-olds. It is basically what it boils down to is people reading conspiracy theories on Twitter rather than getting their news from reputable sources. And it's having an impact, obviously, on the NHS, obviously on society, on all of our Christmases, but it's also having an impact on the Premier League. And if sometimes teams aren't able to field, so for example, Chelsea, one of the richest teams in the world, they couldn't field a full bench the other day. They had 6 players on a 7-man bench. That's insane. And at what point is the integrity of the competition compromised if 1 week a team have an outbreak and they go, so say City or Chelsea have an outbreak and they go and play Liverpool and Chelsea are without 8 or 9 first-team players and Liverpool aren't? That's not fair.
Yeah.
So, and there is a way to stop that. The players need to get jabbed. But at some point, you've got to go, well, this is not a fair competition.
Yeah, and because in Scotland, you're not allowed to go into stadiums as of now or as of New Year?
As of right now.
As of right now.
Right now.
It's not very good. But that's like their ruling. But it's all very well saying that about spectators. But what we're forgetting is, and what I think we forgot is, players are susceptible to getting COVID as well. It's like you go to a restaurant and I tried to book in to go to, sorry, I've just got to touch my shoulder. I've just seen a magpie out the window. Do you do that? Touch your shoulder? No. I've got a magpie nest at the bottom of my garden. I'm constantly like, when I'm trying to eat. I'm really superstitious.
I've heard like the morning Mr. Magpie thing.
No, isn't it 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy?
3 for a girl, 4 for a boy.
Yeah, isn't that the normal magpie thing?
5 for a
North
6 for a
thing?
7 for an apology.
8 for a couple's massage next time.
Oh yes, Mike.
Do it.
Sorry.
Banter. Anyway. So if you book to go into a restaurant, I'm going to totally go over that. Yeah. If you book to go to a restaurant, I tried to book one over Christmas and they were like, oh, it's not that we can't accommodate people. We just can't cook because the chefs have all got COVID. And I'm comparing
we can't cook this food Sorry.
Yeah. Goes to Mackey's. Can't do it. So it's like with players. That's my summary. It's like with players are also susceptible to getting COVID. It's not just about the spectators going. So at what point are we going to have some sort of break? Are we going to have a break in play for 2 weeks or what? I don't think it's fair that teams have got integral players out because they've got COVID and the match can still go ahead because it's not a true reflection on the results for the team. I know it's the same principle for injury, but at the moment it's a global pandemic and something needs to be done.
Just stop reading conspiracy theories online and get vaccinated, and then we'll be able to play all our matches and people are much less likely to play.
But I think you were shouting at me then, Joe.
No.
Yeah, but Joe, I think while the vaccination is obviously an integral part, I think players are still going to catch COVID whether they're vaccinated or not.
Yeah.
Obviously the symptoms worsen if you don't have the vaccine. But I think what Hannah's saying is right. I can't believe that the Premier League representatives all met last week, I think, or earlier this week, and decided that it would be a good idea to continue playing it.
Yeah.
I think they should have taken like a 2-week break, wait for the sort of Omicron variant to sort of, die down a little bit, which is probably not going to do at the moment because people are still like going out because there's still no restrictions in place in the UK. And it would have sort of lessened the blow a little bit. The players that were out with COVID could have like recovered by then. And then obviously once you've had it, you're not likely to get it again. But I don't know. I don't know why they've not done it. It's probably just a scheduling thing as well, because for whatever reason, they're intent on not extending the season. They don't want to see it go beyond May, even though there's no summer tournament. I don't understand it.
Well, as Hannah says, it's financial because Amazon have got the Christmas games, haven't they? So, and it's a big push for Amazon. So they don't want to have to then recut a deal with Amazon or give them their money back or whatever it might be, because that's a huge, huge thing for Amazon. It's worth hundreds of millions of pounds.
But couldn't they just do their day of fixtures on a different day?
But I guess it's because Amazon wants it when everybody's at home over Christmas. So they've probably got a locked-in audience. It's part of the brand.
Let's be honest. Amazon have made a lot of money this year. They're not going to lose. That's just an additional revenue for Amazon. Like, did you do the same thing that I've done? Is I'm going to shop local this year, and I'm not going to get anything from Amazon because I want to support local businesses. And then 3 days ago, I was like, I have bought no Christmas presents. Go on Amazon Prime. Get everything. You can pay to get stuff wrapped and things. I'm just like, I just feel so bad. Every time an Amazon parcel with like 40 meters of cardboard arrives outside my house, I'm like, shouldn't have done it. But they don't need the money.
I take your point, but they are also soulless multinational corporations. They're not like, do you know what? We've had a really good year. So do whatever you like. Have a good Christmas, yeah? Thanks, Jeff.
This is how they've got to where they are.
But I just think those stats tell a story. We're having games postponed, 70% of players jabbed, 90% plus in all the other leagues. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget these players are humans as well. So even though Hannah's talking about just watching them on Boxing Day, like they are having to go out and do that, be away from their families, plus run the risk of getting COVID as well. So I'm sorry, Hannah, I'm not digging at you. I'm just saying.
Oh no, I'm actually only laughing because when Joe's face when you were like, they miss their families. Obviously, I knew Joe's going to be like, they get paid £300,000.
Yeah, obviously they get paid loads, Joe, but they are like humans.
Off.
Let's not forget that.
Not all of them. Is Eric Dyer a human being? He's something, but he's special.
Yeah, I don't know what he is.
He's Charlie Dimmock's son.
What, from Ground Force?
No, Charlie Dimmock. She was a gardener.
Yeah. She was on Ground Force, wasn't she?
I mean, she never used to wear a bra and she did a gardening show.
That is her. No, but the thing is, because you picked such a niche 90s celebrity, just quickly to say, about half of our audience are in the US. So if you live in America.
I wasn't thinking smart then.
But how do we contextualize? Charlie Dimmock was on a show called Ground Force where the host Alan Titchmarsh and like a DIY guy called Tommy used to go and fix people's gardens, and she was famous for never wearing a bra. That's her, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But basically, the thing is, because you picked someone so niche, I sort of paused because I thought, I didn't know he was Charlie Dimmock's son.
Which is because he likes gardening.
Now I see. Not because he looked like her. He never wears a bra either.
Did you not get that reference? That she was a gardener. Maybe you should just cut that out because that doesn't really make sense, doesn't it?
No, I'm going to leave it in because we had to explain to an American audience who Charlie Dimmock is.
Every single time Hannah's like, "Are you going to cut that out?" Joe's like, "No." I thought you were going to say Charlie Stratton.
Who's that?
Because I was listening to a podcast involving him the other day.
Who's
Charlie Stratton, Tom Thumb. He was the sort of the little man that the PT Barnum exposed and used horribly.
Well, yes, he did. But in a way, P.T. Barnum did wonders for Tom Thumb. So Tom Thumb was little man, and he basically, he's a wee man. And he used to, so basically he was part of P.T. Barnum, the kind of famous, well, there's no way of putting it. What it was called in the Victorian era was a freak show. And he exploited basically people with ailments and disabilities. And Tom Thumb was a little person. But Tom Thumb kind of had an act where he sung and he danced. And I know this because Russell Brand talked about this once on a podcast. So Tom Thumb used to perform for the aristocracy in Victorian England. And then he went to perform for Queen Victoria. And he did a little song and a dance and whatever. And Queen Victoria was like, oh, it's all right, but I'm not that jazzed. Like, I see that kind of stuff every day, yeah? And then one of her corgis came up to him. And Tom Thumb started pretending to fence with said corgi. Queen Victoria loved this and then kept inviting him back. Tom Thumb made his fortune, married another little person. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt.
Love that.
So there you go.
Yeah, but look, let's be honest. Like, this is basically based on the knowledge I have from listening to a history podcast yesterday, which Joe was very happy about. But he did expose a lot of people. And I just can't believe that the Greatest Showman, like the depiction of him in that as like this all singing, like jazz hand sort of guy. But the reality of some of the stuff he did was so dark. I can't believe that is like the interpretation that Hollywood have gone with.
Yeah, he was basically a scumbag who exploited people with quite severe disabilities for his own financial gain.
Yeah,
so he wasn't a very nice man. But
anyway,
Tom Thumb danced with a corgi, so
yeah.
Every clout. Something I want to mention this week as well, really lovely from Preston North End's Izzy Brown. So there was a Preston fan online. You could find this actually on BBC Sports Instagram. And actually you can find it on Izzy Brown's Twitter and stuff as well. Essentially, this Preston fan went onto Twitter and posted a 6-part message talking about how he's incredibly lonely. He suffers with depression, how one of the things that kind of keeps him going is football and his love for Preston North End. And to maybe be deprived of that and to be deprived of social interaction is something that's exacerbating his depression to the extent that he's questioning whether he wants to end his life. So a guy who's really, really having a hard time and suffering. Izzy Brown saw this, asked him to DM him, and then spoke to the gentleman on the phone, who then sent a follow-up message just saying kind of 10-minute conversation, be it with your hero, be it with a stranger in the street. Never underestimate what little acts of kindness can do for people. And I just thought it was a wonderful, beautiful, amazing thing that exemplifies what we should all be doing. And Mike, I know you've got a soft spot for Preston North End, and yeah, it's lovely, wasn't it?
Yeah, Preston North End, sort of my second team now, because my girlfriend's from Preston.
Lancashire.
Never watched one of their games, don't really want to, but I would dot them as my second team. But yeah, in this scenario, I mean, let's commend like both sides of this, the bravery for this guy to put that out, because that's not easy for anyone to admit. You know, there's this thing with men, especially, that they're too proud, or they're worried about how they'll come across. They'll come across as soft if they talk about their feelings or their struggles. And this guy has shown that, you know, if you do put yourself out there and people are willing to help, and, you know, fair play to Izzy Brown, because he didn't have to do anything, but he's reached out to this guy, and it just shows you really that we're talking about like football pausing, and really football is a huge thing for a lot of people. It keeps a lot of people going. It's sort of a thing that forms a large part of people's lives. So yeah, well done to him. Well done to both of them.
Yeah. Couldn't have put it better myself. Yeah, it's okay to talk. There's a section now, it feels like a bit of a weird segue, because there's a section in the running order called Any Other Business. And in it is a bullet point that says Hannah's feet.
Okay, before we talk about our feet, I think as well, if anybody's listening to our podcast and is feeling any negative emotions or feelings or anything, send us a message, any one of us, or to our Rose Ed account. Because, yeah, like you say, I mean, we could talk on this so much. And this is something that I trained in. I trained to be an occupational therapist at uni and specialised in mental health. And I actually work not on a regular basis, but I do help on the phone. So when people need some help and support, then I'm one of the people that would answer the phone, because it's definitely something that needs to be talked about, especially throughout lockdown, and people that are living independently and out of routine, maybe lost money, jobs, family members through the pandemic. So yeah, if anybody listening right now thinks that they have any negative thoughts or emotions or anything, reach out to us, or there's so many charities out there that you can phone. There's always somebody at the end of the phone.
Yeah, get in touch. We're here for you.
Yeah. But yes, you want to talk about my feet.
Hannah, what the hell is going on with your feet?
It's actually not very nice. So I think my toes look like flaccid willies at the end of my feet.
Should we start? Because you sent, out of nowhere, sent me a photo of your feet.
No, I was at a spa.
Yeah, but I didn't ask for it. It just happened.
Yeah, I know. But I was messaging you, and I looked at my feet. I was
pictures.
like, my feet
Not the
are
first
so ugly. Like, they're so ugly. They look like finger feet, don't they? They are. My toes are long.
A bit like a gorilla's feet, yeah.
Yeah. And you were messaging me, and I just thought, wow. I was like, oh, my feet look awful. So I took a picture, and I was like, gosh. But when you take a picture on WhatsApp, I meant to take it on my phone, but I took it on WhatsApp, and I thought, oh, well, Joe won't care. I'll send it to Joe.
Well, there's one, the second, they're just normal human feet. And mine are pretty horrible because I smashed my toe on the corner of my bed when I was packing to go on Matt Carlton Stag Do. And the toe nail went black that week. That's like 6 years ago. And that toenail's dead. And it's like
it's just, you've fully damaged it.
And it won't come off. And when I went to see the Vietnamese ladies who do my feet, they couldn't do anything with it. So that's on my New Year's resolutions list.
Vietnamese ladies doing your feet, concierge, ironing lady.
Honestly.
Jesus, he is a modern man.
Yeah, I've got a tailor as well, Philip. Have I not told you about Philip? I've got a tailor, don't worry.
He's in the cupboard.
No, we made ever such good friends, Philip, because I went to see him and he told me a really interesting story about the Blitz. Anyway, that's for a different podcast. But yeah, Hannah's feet. So your second toe is kind of like it's kind of looking at the other guy like, hey, what are you guys doing over there?
Well, I think what I did was I tried to demonstrate. The reason I think I used to be quite good at swimming is because I've got like webbed feet. And I think it gave me a huge advantage to other people.
Rank.
Honestly,
Rank.
aren't they webbed, Joe? They are webbed.
I didn't notice. I was just looking at that toe that sort of can see around corners.
Sorry, Joe, and I would never usually say this, but I don't know why you thought this would be a good segment for the podcast.
It's just,
I'm really sorry, but this is horrible.
I make notes throughout the week about stuff I want to talk about, and it's like, oh yeah,
you wanted to talk about Hannah's feet.
Let's do the COVID vaccination. Okay, let's do those stats on Leeds. Hannah sent me that photo of her feet. Let's talk about her toe.
Yeah, but Hannah, the thing, didn't someone ask you for like feet pics or something?
Yeah, so
because if you're saying they're that bad, surely like they'd want a refund.
No, it's when I had shoes on though. So people used to offer to give me £500 for a pair of my shoes when I was on a shopping channel like 13 years ago. But I think if I said, right, I'm going to take my shoes off, have a look at that, they wouldn't be offering me 500 quid. They'd want a refund if I sent my shoes and I packed my toes into them. So ugly.
Hopefully I never see them. Hopefully no one listening ever sees them either. I think we'll be happy for
Instagram.
it. I don't know about that.
I'll get a picture of some pretty feet, but I really exaggerated the movement, which is why they probably look worse than if they were just like flaccid.
No, mine are horrible. I'm going to send you a photo of mine after this. They're loads worse. Mike, I bet yours are like a little pair of slippers, aren't they? I bet the hair goes all the way up to the nail.
Yeah, it is a bit Mr. Tumnus, so I'm not going to lie. Short and stubby.
Should we just say, guys, can we all just send each other photos of each other's feet after this? I feel like it'd be...
No, but that's just really weird, Joe.
Yeah, sorry, Mike. I really left you out there. I should have done it in the group, shouldn't I?
No, I'm really glad, Hannah, you didn't. And I almost wish I didn't bring it up now because you definitely will send them to me.
Do you have a body part you're embarrassed about, though, Mike?
Do I have a body part I'm embarrassed about? Not that I'm willing to talk about on the podcast, no.
Is it little Stav?
Nah. That's too obvious.
Yeah.
There's
embarrassed because he's big. Hangs out the bottom of your shorts.
Oh, you're right.
Dragging along with me wherever I go.
When he turns around. Sorry. But no, you can tell us it's a safe space.
Nah, I genuinely don't. No, I don't. Sorry to disappoint.
Hannah, do you have anywhere else on your body that you're sort of ashamed of?
So when I was pregnant with my second little boy, I was a week late. Now, my friends think I'm so weird for this, and you're going to be like, what? But I used to sleep in Clingfilm when I was pregnant, so on my stomach. So I had a pack of Clingfilm next to my bed, and I'd put oil all over my stomach and my boobs, and then I'd put a piece of Clingfilm over my stomach so that the oil would just remain absorbed, so my skin would be moist. But then, obviously, to help me not get stretch marks, and my friends really thought it was like really funny. They're like, who sleeps in cling film? I'm like, well, it's logical, isn't it, to stop you getting stretch marks when you've got like a burn or anything and you want to keep it moist, then you'd put the cream on and then cling film. So in my head, I was like, put cling film on. So I did that throughout my whole first pregnancy, never got a stretch mark. Bearing in mind, my mum got really bad stretch marks. So you're susceptible, like it kind of follows suit. So when I was pregnant with Logan, didn't get any stretch marks up to the end. Everyone was laughing at me. And then the day that I had him, I looked at my belly button and I've got like a little, I mean, it's half a centimetre, but it's where I had my belly bar. I had my belly button pierced and it's right there. And it bothers me. I mean, I feel embarrassed by it.
How did you ever sleep covered in cling film and oil for 9 months?
Not like on my head or anything, but just
that's so uncomfortable.
On my stomach.
Oh,
it's not, you get used to it. It gets a bit itchy sometimes, but it's just one sheet of cling film over my pregnancy bump.
Were you in bed with your husband?
Yeah.
What did he say?
Joe, he just looks at me and thinks I'm weird. I am used to this. So he's like, oh my God. So I'd get into bed with this huge belly and I'd just be lathering oil all over myself. And most guys might find that attractive, but probably not when you're like, you know, you've got veiny boobs and you've got a big belly. And then I'd put my cling film on. But yeah, I got one stretch mark and I felt so defeated.
Well, it worked because you only got the one.
Yeah, I've only got one.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good going, right?
Because Logan was like 9 pounds. He was massive. So, but I've got this one stretch mark and I know mum's like, oh my God, it's my war wound for my baby. I'm like, well, I don't think that when I'm wearing my bikini on holiday. Do you know what I mean? In Mexico. Temptation.
Yeah, again. There's just kind of nowhere to go.
yeah, I don't know.
I do this every time. But if there was other females on the podcast, I think they'd be going, why would you sleep in cling film? Because that's what all my friends say. They would also think that's weird. I've never met another woman that sleeps with cling film on their pregnant tummy and oil.
Yeah, but I've never met other humans who've done lots of the stuff that you do, Hannah. Like I mean this in a very affectionate way. You are mental.
Weird.
Yeah.
Do you not just think that like there's obviously like in your life there's things that you've heard and sometimes you get surprised and then things that Hannah tells us, it's like I've never even thought about that. I've never thought anyone would even do that. I've never even contemplated that.
Listen, guys, that's what I'm here for.
Hannah has the ability to I thought it was pretty unshockable. Hannah has the ability to shock me on a weekly basis.
I think I'm going to go out on a limb and say P.T. Barnum would love Hannah.
Oh yeah, she would be headliner.
Absolutely love Hannah. He would take her across the world.
Yeah. There you go.
What about you, Joe? What about you? What have you got that's embarrassing?
It's just not as good as that. I've just got a mole called Jeremy. So there he is. You can see.
Wow, he's big.
Well, don't mole shame.
I'm only joking. It's only little.
No, I'm not embarrassed about him. But what I used to do, because obviously it's a bit of a talking point. So when I was like young and I was first getting into meeting girls, is I used to like say to girls like, oh, it's the source of all my power, like Chandler's third nipple. So I used to get girls like in clubs and stuff to lick it because I thought like that established like intimacy. And yeah. Subsequently,
I'm not criticising. I used to sleep in cling films.
Did it work?
Yeah. Some of those women.
Well, given the stats that you told us at the Christmas party, it obviously did.
That's getting cut.
See, this is not a fair relationship because things Hannah says, you know, and it's like, oh, that's getting cut. Well, it's like, no, it's not because Joe's editing it. But Joe can say whatever he wants and that gets cut.
Yeah, I know.
I can't.
So unfair.
I demand total editorial discretion. There you go. The modern day Victorian freak show, Rose Ed, for another week. Probably quite a good place to lose it, to leave it. And we have lost it. Look, so Christmas is coming up. Have a nice Christmas, everybody.
Have a lovely Christmas.
thank you for listening this year. It's been awesome. It's been a really, really great year. Get in touch with us about absolutely anything, honestly. At Rosed Pod on Instagram, Rosed Soccer on Twitter. You can find us on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. You can leave us a voice note as well. The link is in our bio. You can listen to us on podcast radio, 6 p.m. on Friday nights, also repeated on Saturdays and Sundays. And if you do have the time and the inclination, please do leave us a 5-star review, because that really helps with the algorithm, whatever that is. Merry Christmas, Hannah.
Merry Christmas, and thanks to Rob for my poem. I loved it. It's made my day.
There you go. Merry Christmas, Mike.
Thanks, babes.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
And we will see you for a New Year's special.
Woo! Bye.
There it is. There it is. I can't finish until you do that.